Hey guys, it's Nicole and tonight I have a really exciting video. So I just finished some assignments and I've been wanting to do this video for a long time, but now that the month of March is over, I think it's the best time to do this video, how I budget as a uni student in Singapore, because I can show you guys my finances for March. So March was a really interesting month. It's definitely not like the other months that came before it. I think March was a month where I really got woke. I just felt like, why am I spending all this time building up someone else's dream when I can be building my own? Just a lot of thoughts like this, but nonetheless, that kind of mindset and that way of thinking was what propelled me to work really hard during the month of March and to really source for opportunities on my own. Other than that change in mindset, it was also my birthday month, so I expected to spend a bit more than usual. And it was also the month where I cancelled my insurance savings plan, which was really not a good plan whatsoever. I thought it'd be good to cut the losses right then and there rather than wait and keep on paying for the next 20 years and have a return that doesn't even keep up with the inflation rate. Also, this video is to talk more about my budgeting and my expenses. I will touch a bit on my income. I'll probably do another video on my side hustles where you guys can really see a breakdown of the things I did and the things that I'm continuing to do. And I'll also be talking about a few things that I've learned along the way, a few money rules, I guess you can call it that I've picked up and that I'm trying to incorporate into the way I view this thing, which shouldn't be controlling me. I control money, money does not control me, and I think that's really important. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is my budget template, and I tried multiple apps. I'll put them on screen. Seedly is pretty good, but I mostly use it for getting financial information, and I love the forums there. But I found that Google Sheets is the best way for me to track my finances. So at first my budget template was actually just this expenses table. I eventually added this detailed expenses section where I could get a more granular and detailed view of what exactly it is that I'm spending on. So for dining, I set a budget of $100, which I know is not a lot. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. That's about $3.30 a day, right? But I don't eat outside every day, and I'm thankful that I do stay in a residential college, so breakfast and dinner is provided, and I don't normally eat lunch either. So that's why I set a budget of $100. But as you can see, I actually spent 128.87 cents. And how did this happen? Well, I can see from my detailed expenses table that I can't remember what this was, see, which is why it's really important to track when you spend. So I only implemented this detailed expenses table in the later part of March. So the earlier things I really can't remember what I spent on, but I do know that this $270 was Cai Fan at FC, which is in Utown, a whole bunch of other things. This I do regret because I unnecessarily spent money because I was waiting for a client outside, and I just... So that is something that I put here actually in the details, or kind of note to self. Find a way to not spend on food when I'm out alone. So that's what happened with my spending for dining. And here in this column I just track the difference, how much I saved or how much I overspent. And for essentials, it's basically laundry, toiletries, school things, school materials, groceries as well. And I ended up spending quite a bit because another thing that I forgot to mention in March is I wanted to upgrade my desk setup for home because I'll be moving back home soon, which is why I spent on a lot of things from Lazada, as you can see. So laundry was $1 in capped, thankfully, and then I bought a phone case because I don't have a phone case right now. I bought like cables and an adapter and a port, so very functional things that I guess I would consider essentials. So that is that. Definitely spent more than I anticipated. For non-essentials, I would consider it shopping. So like I said, I spent a lot upgrading my desk setup for when I move back home, which is why I definitely overspent here as well. Like, I got two house t-shirts from my residential college capped. I also bought a book. This was a birthday present to myself. Wireless charger, not exactly an essential, but it's something that I wanted to have a clearer desk. so I put it under non-essentials, and a monitor light as well. I mean, I do have a desk light, I'm using it right now, but I want to sell it, and I've seen this monitor light being used by so many people and it looks so sleek and so nice, so I caved and got it for myself. But it's $46.85, and this is interesting. So for entertainment, it's not every day you get to see Ray Chen and Chloe Chua, so I told myself to not feel guilty and to treat myself, and that's why I spent a whopping $122.60 on entertainment in March. So SSO with Ray Chen, SSO with Chloe Chua. I think it's I really don't want to miss this, and I'm going with my special someone, so hopefully we have a really good time. Next, transport. So I vowed near the start of the year that I would not be taking any Grab, and I don't want to use any car hailing apps or services, but I caved and used a Grab Hitch once during March because I was rushing for class and I was still at home. I just add the transport fares and it just accumulates here. Business. So I am experimenting with a lot of things. There's something that I'm working on and I ordered, which was $45 including shipping and all of that, so that is quite a price. I put this Lazada item under business expenses because it is a camera lens for this camera that's used to film right now, and I put it under business because YouTube is kind of my side hustle, so and for one-off it'll be medical things like polyclinic visits as well as gifts for friends. So in the month of March I had to go to the polyclinic because I had a nasty case of an infection, so I went, but thankfully my parents sponsored the trip, so I didn't have to pay for it really. I also have subscriptions, things that are kind of automated, and I just pay it every month from my card, so nothing too interesting there. I spent $705.45 in March, and to summarize, I guess here's the table. Big oof. But I think this is a good time to also talk about this money rule that I read in this book about small economies won't make you wealthy, but they will make you miserable. Cutting out your daily cappuccino isn't going to make you rich. I think March was really a month of learning how to balance luxuries with being frugal. Like, yes, save as much money as I can, but not at the expense of my overall health and well-being in general. As for net income, I'll briefly talk about my income. So in the month of March, I actually made $3,729.31. And one thing that I do want to talk about is tithing. I think when it comes to money, it's so easy to get caught up in wanting to make more and just not having a very good mindset when it comes to wealth. And it was scary because I really felt that affecting me. Like, I began wanting to be very selfish with my money instead of being generous and really remembering what money is for anyway. And one thing that really helps with having a better mindset when it comes to money is tithing and just trusting that whatever I have managed to earn and gain is by God's grace, and to have a generous and cheerful heart as I give and contribute to doing more of God's work. I think that's really important, so that's where tithing comes in. Of course, 10% of $3,700 is a lot of money, but I realize that when I do give, it does fix my heart posture when it comes to making money and wealth. So I think there's a verse for this. Let me Google search this. Mark 8 verse 36. For what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? So I guess that's my rationale when it comes to tithing, and I definitely see a lot of value in it. I won't be talking too much about how I make that income. Like I said, I'll do that in my side hustles video. Before I talk about crypto and investments, do have an emergency fund. I think a lot of people talk about this. I personally use this app or this service called Sing Life. I have 1K there that I don't touch, but it's good because if anything happens, I'll have at least 1K on hand. And then after you have that emergency fund, you can look at crypto or investing. So my partner is really into crypto and he introduced it to me. So I've been dabbling with crypto quite a bit. At the end of the month, I have this amount, which is basically net income plus my investments plus the start of the month. And actually, if I add on the emergency fund that I have right in Sing Life plus 1,000, end of the month I have 8K plus, and I am very thankful that it was a month of hustling and it paid off. And this is just the beginning of me adulting. So prior to March, I really was like living on the edge. I would always end the month with very little to nothing, honestly, because every few months I would make a really big purchase either on Easy Buy or Shopee. And while it's important to treat yourself, I think that was spending unnecessarily. I think I'm in a very different place right now. If you are interested in this budget template, of course, I duplicated and created a template version of it for you guys, and I'm selling it for $2. If you are interested, really no pressure. I just, you know, another way to kind of side hustle. I actually didn't just copy from somewhere, so it did take time and effort, and that is also why I'm selling it for $2. A little change in scenery as I talk about my net worth. So this table is actually in the year overview page or sheet. Not too much to say about the values. I think what I wanted to talk about more is how I did the little thing about liquidity. Your spending account, for me, I use DBS or POSB. That is liquid AF because it's where I'll be spending mostly, and I don't want to keep too much money in there because if I put money in there, it's just sitting in the bank and it's not doing anything for me. So I try to keep the amount in that account as low as possible, just what I need for spending. And of course, my emergency fund, this is liquid because it's really easily and readily accessible and I can use it. But of course, it's not something that I want to touch for just everyday purposes. So it's just there, it's liquid. And for crypto, it's semi-liquid because I can assess it. But of course, with the volatility of the crypto world and the market, I don't want to keep putting in and taking out as and when. So it's semi-liquid. And then for traditional investments, it's something that I want to keep there for long term, so I would consider it non-liquid. And finally, retirement funds. This is non-liquid AF because it's something that I'm not supposed to touch and I don't want to touch until I'm actually of retirement age, whenever that may be. So that is that for this little segment on liquidity and my net worth, which I don't want to disclose the values. Yeah, back to you. And I guess that's all for this video. I pray that you stay safe, happy, and healthy wherever you are. Bye!